Welcome back, everybody, to a very exciting From Screen to Shelf review. It is your boy, Chase, aka Mr. Wallet Bully Extraordinaire, here to talk to you everything Longlegs today. So, I did just get out, and amongst us horror heads out there that are just super excited and really frothing at the mouth, it's been a really good year for horror. I really can't say that there hasn't at least been something I'd say was okay, whether it was a streaming platform release or a theatrical release. It's been a pretty good 2024. Like Abigail, and now the other one I was really looking forward to because we did just get Maxine was Longlegs. I was probably just as excited for Longlegs as I was for Maxine. It's pretty well known if you're a follower of the channel that like the X trilogy is one of my most like favored things out there. Or the Pearl trilogy, whatever it's called. So for me to be as excited as Maxine for this, and that's the conclusion to a trilogy, it looked really cool. I did not watch a single trailer. I just remember I follow Neon on Instagram and they were posting very cryptic messages before they dropped the trailer. And there was some really cool imagery there. And Nick Cage, I'm going to say it on record, is one of the greatest, if not the greatest actor to ever live and still living amongst us. He just has such a wide range of emotions. So I get super excited anytime a project with him is announced, especially Osgood Perkins, which, if you aren't familiar, I've known this for a while, but I'm surprised by the amount of people that didn't know this, especially Blackcoat's Daughter, one of his earlier works, being so popular. He is the son of our very beloved and famous Norman Bates, aka Anthony Perkins. That is his son. So pretty cool information for those. I know there's probably some people. Yeah, we knew that. But for those that didn't know, I always like to throw that out there because there are some people that don't know that are in the horror community. So Osgood Perkins has found a love for horror. I guess it's passed down the family bloodline, and it gives us to Longlegs. Longlegs is more or less a investigative murder mystery with a lot of horror elements to it and a lot of horror imagery. So it's definitely right to call it like a horror crime thriller, more or less. I have been seeing some comparisons between like Seven and Silence of the Lambs and some reviews that have popped up. And I'm just here to kind of squash that and say I don't see that in any way, shape, or form. And I think that's unfair to compare this to those. Both of those are absolute classics. And while I'm not trying to say that this isn't, so you'll hear how I feel in a second, I just think that let this stand on its own. This is a director giving us something truly noteworthy and quite something of the 2020s. That's going to be remembered for a very long time, especially Nicolas Cage's performances. Micah Monroe, Blair Underwood, all three of them gave the performance of their lifetime. Kiernan Shipka made an appearance in here as a small but minor and very impactful character. Kiernan Shipka collaborated with him along with Emma Stone on The Blackcoat's Daughter, one of the best horror movies I feel like of the 2010s. It's an absolutely amazing movie. And so I expected no less. So I went into this movie completely blind, and I can sit here and say that I am absolutely enthralled and super happy with what I saw. I don't have any complaints. Now, to break it up, I don't really feel like there was any slow moving parts because it's kind of hard. I'm going to leave this one completely spoiler free, and we can probably end up talking about it more on the podcast, just to give some more quick thoughts out there. But you are really, Lee Harker. You are really following Micah Monroe's character as these other people happen to exist around her. Even people that are on the screen almost as much as her, or just shy of just as much as her, she is the main focal point through and through and through. You need to dissect everything that happens in this movie because it all intertwines with Lee Harker. And she is a very important and very pivotal character in every movement and every breath and every frame that this movie makes. She's not just a lead. It is very important to watch what happens in the background. It is very important to see everything, to scan that entire theatrical screen, look from corner to corner, top to bottom. Like you have to examine that screen because there's a lot of imagery in the shadows. There's a lot of everything. And I do think that this is one of the best horror movies that we've gotten this year, if not of one of the decades. Now, I am a little bit torn up with the way that I feel on certain aspects. I feel like I am going to need to rewatch this probably a few more times for me to really kind of fully put out there how I feel. But for the most part, the score was, oh my god, it was so good. It was so good, so eerie, so stringy, so twangy. It was so creepy. And Nicolas Cage as Longlegs is just absolutely stunning in his role. It's absolutely unreal. how wide of range Nick Cage has. He is just an insanely talented actor. And this is up there as one of his best. I think Pig is one of his best. I love Mandy, but I feel like anybody could have done that as much as I love Nick Cage. But Pig was a great movie. He's got so many other classics like Adaptation and Face Off and stuff like that. He's done so many iconic roles. And this right here just is something so different from what I've seen from him before. I haven't seen, he's been in a lot of movies. So if you have a recommendation for something, if you've watched the movie and you have a recommendation for something else where he's a lot like this to compare it to, that would be really cool to go and see that additional range of emotions from him. But I've never personally seen anything like this from Nick Cage. And I just, every time he was on the screen, it's like, damn, like there's this one point where they just have the camera on Longlegs' face. There's no spoilers, by the way, so you don't need to skip forward. It's just the way that it is on his face is just so perfect and so unsettling in a way that I haven't necessarily felt since, I would say, since Dark Knight's Joker. Like that's like in a maniacal sense like that. Like it really was like that unsettling. Heath Ledger was just full on anarchist and just really, and I hate to make the Joker comparison. It's just the pure mania between the two characters is undeniable. And it's really the easiest thing for me to kind of give a common denominator between. He just absolutely acts his absolute ass off. So that's really how I feel. I feel like the third act just at first I was like, I don't think this is necessarily working, and then it just goes. It just goes. The movie just keeps going, and the opening for that movie is one of now my favorite openings in a horror ever. It was so creepy and lets you know exactly what you're in store for. While I don't think this movie will necessarily scare you or like put snakes in your boots or anything like that, but I think that this is an absolutely excellent blend of horror and thriller for a lot of us horror heads and thriller fiends out there. I think you will be exceptionally excited for everything that you're going to stay in tuned for. So even if you're going to skip the theatrical run, which I highly recommend you go and support this to the fullest lengths that you can, if you're waiting until home release, just watch it as soon as you can on video on demand. I think this is something that everybody's going to love. I don't think there's anybody that's going to find this movie bad. There's always people out there. We all have different tastes, but I think this is going to go down as a timeless classic. Now, for my score, I know with all the praises I'm giving it and not really saying anything bad about it, I'm just really stuck at a 9.5. I know the other two on here do 5-point scales. I got to work with a little bit more, but I'm stuck between a 9.5 and just flat out declaring it a modern masterpiece. And the reason why it's hard for me to declare that is there's just so much going on in the movie, not like in a chaotic way. Like, if you've seen Old, I'm not talking about like constantly going like M. Night Shyamalan's Old, but it's just there's just so much that I could get from a second watch. There's sometimes that movies are just as rewarding, if not more so, after you've seen it to dissect more and understand more and see more that's going on and decrypt things. And I really feel like this movie deserves a second watch and to be seen more than once. So I don't want to give it a flat out 10 out of 10 yet because I could like it less. But I am still really firm at a 9.5 out of 10. But I really do think that we're sitting here and looking at an absolute classic of a movie that in 10, 20 years from now is going to be heralded as a classic amongst this decade. I really do feel that way. So, guys, thank you so much for coming and checking out my From Screen to Shelf review of Longlegs. I appreciate you guys every single time you click, like, comment, and subscribe. Stay tuned for some more exciting content. I'll see you guys.